So like I faced some challenges because my leadership style maybe in the beginning was similar to what I had to use when I was in corporate, which is more about empowering people to make their own decisions, and expecting that people will be self-motivated to reach their KPIs or work because they would care also about their own career development themselves. What I realize in my business that not everyone is the same. There are some people that actually needs to be micromanaged, and sometimes they may not be self-motivated, and then they don't want to be involved in the decisions-making process. They just want to be told what to do. So that was a little bit different because it's completely different than my leadership style.
All right. Welcome back. This is Tell Me Why. I'm Maria Botros. And today, I know I mentioned this before, but we just recently launched a mini-series within our podcast called Get to Know the CEO. And we try our best every month to get at least one CEO or entrepreneur onto our show to talk about their business, how they grew their business, and how they expanded either in the region or internationally, or even locally as a starting point. Today in the studio joining me is Layla Alhajjaj, who's the founder and managing director of Boho Salon. I want to say salons. You have more than one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell us a bit more about Boho Salon?
Sure. First, I'm very happy to be here and thank you for having me. And of course, I'll tell you about my salon.
Please, with your perfectly coiffed hairs.
Yes. Boho Salon, it started with one branch first in Abu Dhabi, and it was a business that I've launched during COVID. If you ask me before that time if I have ever thought about opening a salon or owning a salon, I'll tell you no way, maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't really an industry that I've had an interest in before. I've came from like an engineering background mainly. So it was a very different shift. But during COVID, a lot has changed in the world, and I've had some time and money that I wanted to invest in, and then I was looking what would be the opportunities or something that I would be interested in doing. And during that time, I mean, someone like me was thinking of opening a business, which was not the common thought at that time.
Right.
There were many people that were actually leaving UAE, going back to their home country and selling their own businesses. So what I did was I found a salon that was at that moment a salon space that was for sale because the previous owner wanted to leave, and I thought maybe this would be a better move for me to take over a space that is already ready, and then just change the concept, change the brand, and create the brand from there.
Right.
So that's the first branch that I had. So it was mostly like an acquiring an established space and then just changing it, adding my touch to it. And in the same time, because of what was happening in the world, I wanted to make sure that I have an impact through that business.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that it has my own personal values in it. I didn't want it to be just another hair salon without having something that will make it stand out between the rest. So that when I decided to make it more sustainable, and I've looked into how can I make it sustainable and how can I use it as a platform to educate more people in the community about to make better choices when it comes to what kind of products they're using on their skin or on their bodies, and how their shopping behavior could actually have an impact on also the environment.
Right.
2.5 years later, I've decided to move and open another branch in Dubai. So I had the second branch, which is a much larger scale than the first branch that I had in Abu Dhabi. Dubai is 3 times bigger, a little bit different tier, I would say, different market, and it was a completely shell and core space. So it was a different experience for me in terms of the challenges that I faced, building a space from scratch, different investment that was required. And then here we are now with 2 salons.
That's amazing. Okay, I want to backtrack a little.
Yes.
So you were saying that you come from an engineering background.
Yes.
And you said that it was never like part of your like long-term plan to open up a salon. What was the turning point? Like what got you into it?
So first, I think with a lot of us here in the Middle East specifically, when you decide to go and study a major, sometimes it's just about what can you get a very good job in, or what your parents wanted you to do.
Right.
And that was a part of why I decided to go and study computer science in the beginning. It was more about, okay, if I go abroad, study computer science, I can go back to Saudi and I can work in Saudi Aramco, the biggest company in there,
exactly.
And back then it was kind of like the dream, But after I finished from my university, even though I was good at it and I enjoyed it, but I wanted to do something different.
Right.
So I decided to go into oil and gas. Oil and gas is not really a field for women, I would say.
Yes.
And that was the main reason maybe why I wanted to be in it.
Right.
Because when I shared my decision with people, a lot of people told me, like, are you crazy? Like, a lot of men can make it there. Why do you think you will be able to do it,
Right.
And my response was like, I want to prove to people that women can do it, not just any woman, like Saudi women can do it. And obviously it involves a lot of traveling and working with diverse group, and that was very attractive to me at that time.
Right.
So I've joined the company and I was in it for 6 years and a half. I worked in 4 different locations. Even though it did shape me as the person who I am now, I developed a lot of skills from just like the challenges, working in a male-dominant industry.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And just like the traveling, the different positions that I have. Obviously, it gave me all the transferable skills that I use now. Nice. But eventually, it wasn't really aligned with my values or what kind of impact I wanted to have in the world. And then through it eventually I reached a place where I felt I wanted to have a job that I feel like it's meaningful, a job that I feel like, okay, I have a purpose in it. I didn't want to just wake up, go to work, make money, and come back,
Right.
And that was my turning point at first. I've decided to have a career change. I moved from oil and gas to where I am now. I still have a full-time job. I work with a nonprofit organization that focuses on people with intellectual disabilities.
Oh, wow.
And through that, just entering at first was a little bit difficult because, people will look at you and be like, okay, you're an engineer, you have these kind of skills. How do we know that you will be able to do something different?
Right.
And it's all about showing your problem-solving skills, your project management, your data analysis, and then, okay, if you can deliver a project in this, you can still deliver a project in a different industry.
Right.
And I was very lucky because with my current position, I've had the chance of delivering programs and projects in different industries, in education, in the community, in sports and health. And that gave me a better understanding and background of how I can shift things in between.
Right.
And maybe that gave me more confidence in thinking or knowing that, okay, if I decide to actually open a business, then just like how I moved and shifted between different industries, then I would have a better or more confidence and better skills to lead the business.
Yes, precisely. You mentioned oil and gas, and my brother spent like 10 years in oil and gas, and I remember it is a male-dominated, industry, and props to you for making it through in that. And I remember him actually telling me when he used to see women in that industry, he used to have a lot of respect for them because it's tough on men. So he could only imagine what it was like for a woman, not because we are not as strong or can't do it, but it is very taxing. It's an exhausting and very demanding job.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the things that we learn from different positions, from different job roles, really do feed into our future experiences and our future job roles, because it's not like a standalone job and that's it, I'm done with it and I put it aside. There's so many things that you learn from each job that you put to the test, be it when you move to a new role or when you open up your own business. So going into a bit more into Boho, what are some of these skills that you really put into like you put to the test when you were opening up your business, be it through challenges or just some of the successes that you witnessed with the salon?
Yeah. I think mainly it was the operational skills, and like managing the budgets and the numbers. Obviously, when I was in the oil and gas industry, it was about managing locations and resources, equipment, and the employees, just having that long-term plan about how everyone and everything is going to be assigned. And it was more about, like I would say, resource optimization. And I think that what I am more skilled at, that helped me in Boho itself. And then with my current position, it was more about partnerships and collaborating with other entities. Were the skills that I've gained that helped me with Boho. Saying that, though, a challenge that I felt was a little bit different when it comes to my experience is that sometimes leadership is very different when you are in corporate than when you are in your own business.
Of course.
And mainly because obviously I've managed a team of men. Men are more they use intellect and reasoning more than emotions. And now with the salon, it's managing a team of women that could be a little bit different. But it's also the backgrounds.
Yes.
So I faced some challenges because my leadership style maybe in the beginning was similar to what I had to use when I was in corporate, which is more about empowering people to make their own decisions, and expecting that people will be self-motivated to reach their KPIs or work because they would care also about their own career development themselves. What I realize in my business that not everyone is the same. There are some people that actually needs to be micromanaged, and sometimes they may not be self-motivated, and then they don't want to be involved in the decision-making process. They just want to be told what to do. So that was a little bit different because it's completely different than my leadership style.
Right.
And that was my hardest thing maybe to learn, and okay, how can I do this and how can I be different?
But I mean, that's really good that you recognize that because, some people might be good at what they do. They just have a different way of doing it. So, for instance, the person that likes to be told what to do exactly might actually be good at what they do. They just need the guidance.
Exactly.
When someone else, so it's not really judging how good they are. They might be capable. It's just they have a different way of doing things. And it's good that you recognize that because I think some people might miss out on opportunities because they're misunderstood. So it's still good that, as a leader that you recognize that. Okay, so I want to discuss the salon a bit more. Yeah. You mentioned sustainability. You mentioned sustainability through products, through the setup of the salon. Other than the fact that it's aesthetically beautiful and very boho chic, actually. Tell us about the sustainability part. What are the what are the sustainable solutions that you're actually implementing in your salon, be it through the products or the services?
The main part of it is reducing our footprint. And that could go into two parts. One, using products that were made from ingredients that were sourced ethically, where also the workers have been paid fairly. And the other part is, the products are packaged in either biodegradable material or from recycled material that, for example, plastic that have been collected from the ocean or from landfill. And we managed to do that because we work with brands and partners who are sustainable, and that helps us become ahead of the sustainability journey that we want to keep evolving and improving in. So the main two brands that I carry are actually B Corp certified, which is the highest certification you can get when it comes to sustainability.
Okay.
And it just means that they look at everything that they do, from sourcing the ingredients to production to delivering, including offsetting their carbon emission. And then, it's all ingredients that have non-toxic, they're good for the hair, they're good for the skin. And by working with them, We know that, we have sustainable products. We're using products that have not been tested on the animal, so we're also contributing to animal welfare. And then after that, we want to make sure that we segregate our waste. We recycle what we can. We work with a company that comes and collect from us weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how much waste we have at that time. They collect plastic and metal. And I'm confident that there will be more solutions where we can recycle the aluminium foil or the hair or other waste that we currently have at the salon that the current existing companies don't recycle, especially with this year being the year of sustainability in UAE, with COP28 being around the corner. It's exciting and amazing that everyone is coming together here to have more conversation about sustainability and how different businesses can take more actions to be more sustainable. So I'm sure, but with time, it's not going to be only Boho Salon that is looking at minimizing their footprint or minimizing waste. I'm sure a lot of other salons will also join the sustainability journey.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's still not common. I mean, to be very frank with you, especially with with salons, I want to say, it's not common that you find ones that offer sustainable solutions or have that at the core of their business. So what are some of the challenges you faced with trying to introduce this idea in the market? Because a lot of people are not familiar with that.
Yeah. So in the beginning, when I opened the salon, especially during COVID, most of my marketing tactics were about sustainability and how sustainable we are. But I've realized a lot of people didn't really relate to it or didn't really care about it as much, or all what they care about is okay, is your service good or not?
Exactly.
And it was all about educating them, which I feel now, 3 years after, a lot has changed. There's more awareness about how important it is to either use sustainable products or how better it is to support a sustainable business.
Right.
I feel there's a shift in consumer behaviors and the understanding, which I feel is going to eliminate some of the challenges. The cost of getting these products or being sustainable is also higher than using things that are not sustainable.
Exactly.
But it just means that maybe my profit margin is going to be lower. And that's something that I decided that I would accept, only because I know long term it's going to pay off.
Yes.
Knowing that I've started ahead of the trend when it wasn't really something that many consumers cared about.
Right.
But maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that's all what consumers would want.
Exactly.
And then it's going to put me ahead of the competition, because eventually the competition is not going to be able to keep up as fast, because it's not something that's on the radar at the moment.
Right. And you're ahead. I was just going to say you're ahead, and you don't, down the line, businesses and consumers will both want to lead by that example, and you're leading by example right now, and you're doing something, as you said, the profit margin might be a little less than other I want to say business setups, but the reward is much greater, and down the line it might be more rewarding, as you said. So what's next for Boho then?
What's next for Boho?
It's a tricky one, I know.
Yeah.
Some people don't actually think about it until I ask them, and they're like, "Oh, you caught me off guard."
Yeah. It is tricky, because I think what next changes for me from one week to another week.
Okay.
It really depends on whether am I at the top or the bottom of the entrepreneurial journey, because it's not a straight curve. So sometimes when I'm on a high, I feel like, I want to expand, I want to open a branch in Saudi, I want to open it for a franchise, or I want to go into consultancy. But then, when I am at the lower bottom, I feel like this is not something that I want to continue anymore.
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
But my main goal, or the near goal for me, is to expand my Abu Dhabi location into a bigger location.
Okay.
And that's what I want to focus on. I want to make sure that I don't get too excited about like growing without making sure that I make the most of these two branches first. And then after that, I would say there are different options in terms of what I want to do.
Okay.
But it's, you know,
We'll
to be decided.
Yeah, to be decided. You're right. Okay, so you mentioned Saudi quite a few times.
Yes.
You're from Saudi?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and your family lives back home?
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, how do you find that balance? Like, how do you, it must be, I mean, a lot. There's a lot on your plate. You were saying you have a full-time job, you have your business, and your family's back home. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Like for our listeners who are maybe venturing out and trying to start a business.
Yeah. So, you know, like I've left Saudi when I was 17 to study university, and I've been living abroad and doing things independently since then. It's definitely hard not having your family close to you, or not, you know, because especially when you're doing a business, it's easier when you have a support system and people that you can always go to. With me having my family far, I wouldn't feel like I would want to burden them maybe, or go to them and vent or share with them my challenges. Like I try to keep it a little bit more positive conversations only.
Right.
Which I feel makes it harder being an entrepreneur.
And do you like think that sometimes it is difficult to have all these things at once? Like, do you reach a point where you feel like this is too much? Or have you managed to, you know, keep going and tell yourself, no, I can do it with a little bit of time management or whatnot?
Definitely. There are a few times where I feel I've reached like a burnout situation.
Right.
And mainly it like impacted, I would say, my ability to make decisions, where like every small decision became too stressful for me, or like I developed like, you know, an anxiety, where it made me feel like, okay, for a while I just need to go into a cave or like bury my head in a hole, just so I can like regain my power and my confidence. And you know, going through these moments made me like even realize more that, you know, if you want to have a business, you definitely need to have a support system, and like very close relationships, that would always keep you strong when you go through these lower turns, I would say.
Yeah. So that was actually my next question. Look at you, you're already ahead. What's your advice for entrepreneurs? Or people who are just thinking about starting a business?
I mean, if someone is thinking about starting a business, so I mean, you know, first, like, congratulations. It takes a lot of courage to actually even just think or explore it, because not everyone would want to do it, but also not everyone can actually do it. And it's not really about do you have the skills to do it or not. It's all about, do you have the power will? Are you able to go through the stress? Do you enjoy like the challenges? Because even the reward might be a little high, but also when you're going through a downturn, that's also like very like low, you know, the low is low and the high is high. And then just to have also like more self-awareness about what do you actually enjoy. Do you enjoy a structure and working from 9 to 5, because there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people think, oh, if I go open a business, then I have control over my my time, or I don't have to report to anyone or to do what anyone is telling me to do. But at the same time, it could be actually harder, because then you need to work around the clock, even if you manage to have a team that you can delegate to and you can have your time off, but you're still the business owner. They will still come to you for decisions, and you just have to be like available all the time. And I think the main thing is to ask yourself, is this something that I want? Is this something that I enjoy? Because if you don't enjoy it, then it's going to be much harder.
Yeah. If you can't switch off, and if that's something you cannot, live with, then that's something to consider, as you said. Okay. I know your time is very valuable, but I have one last question.
Sure.
And then you're off the hook. What's next for Layla? I mean, apart from the business, what's next for you?
Yeah,
Another tricky one, I know.
what's next for me? I feel this is an interview now. I'm not sure yet as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah.
That's perfectly
I
fine.
mean, I am enjoying the entrepreneurship journey a lot. Just like, coming up with ideas, saying if I can implement them and execute them, just challenging myself. I'm not really scared from failing as much, so I am a risk taker, and I enjoy pushing the boundaries. But at the same time, do I really just want to be in the business and focus on the businesses and give up my corporate side? That has been a back and forth conversation for me, because I feel sometimes my corporate identity is also a part of who I am, and I feel if I walk away from it, I'm not sure if it's going to be something that I'm going to feel comfortable with or not. A lot of people will tell me, yes, once it's going to be the best decision that you're going to make in your life, But then sometimes there are other business owners that will tell me, you could still have a corporate job and be at the top and have different businesses, but it's all about what you want and how you want to divide your time and also what you want to make from your businesses,
Exactly.
So yeah.
To be discovered as well.
To be discovered, yes.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Layla, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'd love to have you back. Hopefully, if you venture out and if you expand, we'll have you back and discuss that too. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you though.